did ask you, Jim, you may not have seen an email, to give me an intro to it, but I didn't get an intro to it. But I do have the title,
There you go.
Parliamentary Procedures. Is this a continuation? Or?
It is.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Who is evaluating Jim?
Oh, I'm
For a
sorry.
question.
Sorry. Evaluating Jim is. Okay, speak up. Who's evaluating Jim? The first evaluator is Karan.
Okay.
And you're asking me? Did you just ask me?
Yeah,
Hey,
I want to
wait,
confirm
They're
it.
not saying it.
Didn't you evaluate me last week?
I did. I
Oh,
actually
yeah,
I thought
Marty.
I voted for the first speaker, and first speaker was someone else on the.
He's the first speaker.
I was actually the
You
first speaker on the
switched,
thing.
okay.
Arnie, you willing to evaluate me?
Sure.
All right, cool.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot. Sorry about that confusion.
Getting things done. How hard can it be to get things done? Well, it turns out it's actually a little bit of a challenge. So if it comes down to just us doing something, we can do it, right? Just hunker down, get it taken care of. Sorry, what does the comedian say? Get her done, right? Okay, all right, that's cool. We can all do that, right? But if the thing that has to be done is a bigger thing, if it's bigger than just us, or if it requires approval or participation from other people, all of a sudden you're starting to talk about that pesky team thing. What a pain in the butt. Or you need a committee that has to approve what you're doing. Oh my God. If you have a committee or if you have a team, you know what that's going to lead to? It begins with an M. No, not that. It's actually meetings. But that was a good guess. So congratulations with that. So meetings. So we have meetings. We come together in meetings. Let's think about a meeting for a moment. So, the meetings that you go to, how do those actually work out for you? They're all runaway successes? No! Are some of them a waste of your time? Yes. Undoubtedly they are. So look, what we're going to talk about here today is a way that you can make the meetings that you go to actually perhaps be a little bit more effective. Because if they're more effective, then potentially it's a better use of your time. And a quick question to you. In this world, what could be more valuable than your time? My time, of course. But that's okay. I know you think your time's valuable, so we'll go with that. So in meetings, the way we are supposed to get things done is by having somebody make a motion and say, hey, this is something we should do or we should talk about. Everybody else has a chance to then vote on it. It gets seconded, you take it to a vote and move on, stuff like that. Remember, these are all the formal rules for how you conduct a meeting. Not that sort of chaotic stuff that goes on at work where just like everybody talks all at once. If you're actually conducting a formal meeting, the person running the meeting will have the floor. People can make a motion and you vote on motion on it. So that's all good stuff like that. What's interesting about motions is that it turns out there's a whole framework that a lot of us aren't aware of built around motions. Now, we've had a chance to talk in the past about some things you can do like tabling a motion, okay, and asking to have what was it? It was actually having a motion postponed for a certain time, things like that. Those are all fantastic things. Today I'd like to talk to you about what I want to call super motions. In the hierarchy of motions that you can do in a formal meeting, these are the most powerful motions out there. They outrank everything else you can do. So consider these to be motions that you put in your back pocket. They're there. If you need them, you can whip them out. And if anybody gives you grief, you tell them to go look it up in Robert's Rules of Order, because I'll tell you what, that's exactly where you can find these. The very first motion is a powerful motion called the Call for Orders of the Day, which is a phrase about this big. But you can say, anybody in a meeting can say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and call for the orders of the day. And what they're really saying is, hey, person who's running this meeting, you've gone off track. You're talking about something that wasn't on the agenda. Or you're talking about something on the agenda out of sequence. And what I want to do is I want to bring you back so you follow the agenda for the meeting. Okay? Nobody has to second this motion. It doesn't actually get voted on. If somebody calls for the order of the day, what happens is the person who's running the meeting needs to reset. Needs to go back to the agenda, needs to identify where they are on the agenda, needs needs to complete the current task and then needs to go on to the next task. Because we've all been in meetings that have gone off track, right? God's honest truth, more often than not, the meetings that go off track, do they have an agenda? No, probably not. So every meeting that you go to should have an agenda. If you go off track and you have an agenda, do a quick call for the order of the day, which once again is a phrase about this big, sorry about that, but it's a very powerful technique to bring everything back. The next powerful super motion that you have available to you is called raising a question of privilege. And once again, I do apologize, that's a phrase about that long. Raising a question of privilege is something that you do if there's something going on that's preventing you from participating in the meeting. So a good example would be is if you were in a meeting and you were seated at the back of the meeting and there was some sort of commotion or some sort of noise going on that meant that you couldn't actually hear what the speaker was saying, if there's some sort of debate going on like that, you could raise a question of privilege, and basically what you're saying is, hey, I can't hear what's going on back here. Could we do something to fix this problem so I can participate? Another super motion that you have available to you, and this is one you're all going to recognize, is what I remember most fondly from elementary school, recess. Now, recess basically means you want to take a break. Now, trick with the recess is you can say, hey, listen, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Person running the meeting, I would like to have a recess. That doesn't make a recess happen. Somebody has to second your motion, and then it has to be approved. And generally, it can also be appended, which says how long is the recess going to be? 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, whatever the story is like that. But basically, you're calling for a break in the meeting. The next one, I think we all enjoy, is adjourn. You can make a motion at any point in time to adjourn a meeting. It's considered to be rude to do it halfway through the meeting. This meeting sucks. How about if we just go ahead and adjourn it? No, don't do that. But once again, a motion to adjourn needs to be seconded. So just because you've come up with the great idea that the meeting's over doesn't necessarily mean that it's over. So you can make a motion at any point in time to adjourn the meeting. If it gets seconded, it gets voted on, and if it gets approved, the meeting's actually over. The final motion that I want to share with you today is actually considered to be the most powerful motion available to anybody in any meeting anywhere. And it's titled, Fix the Time with Which to Adjourn. Once again, I apologize, it is a fairly long phrase. What they're really talking about here is if you're in a meeting, for example, and people start to leave, or it gets late, and you know that there's topics that have not been discussed yet, you know you're going to need to have another meeting to wrap up what they're talking about in this meeting, and that potentially will have to occur prior to your next formally scheduled meeting. You could make a motion to fix the time to which to adjourn, and really what you're doing is you're scheduling the follow-up meeting. Okay, we need a little bit more time to talk about this stuff. How about next Wednesday at 5 o'clock we get together and basically wrap this stuff up. So there you have it, 5 additional super motions that you now know about. So the next time you're in a formal meeting, feel free to reach into your back pocket, whip them out, and use them to make it an effective meeting that's making a good use of the most valuable resource in the world, which of course is your time. Madam?
I hate following him. No, I mean, it's, I should have signed up to be the first speaker.